She looked like just another kid on the sidewalk. Until the truth about her family left a seasoned cop dead wrong. Imagine walking home from school, backpack heavy, mind still buzzing with the chatter of friends and the plans of a carefree teenager. That was 13-year-old Maya Thompson's routine. Just another Wednesday afternoon, the kind of day she thought would pass without a trace. But unbeknownst to her, the small moment of waiting at a street corner was about to spiral into a confrontation that would test not just her patience, but her dignity, her identity, and the very weight of her name. The sun was dipping low, casting long shadows across the cracked pavement of a suburban neighborhood where Maya and her mother had moved just 2 years earlier. The neighborhood looked safe on the surface. Neatly trimmed hedges, mailboxes standing like silent sentinels, and children's bikes tipped over on lawns. But beneath that image of calm, there was a tension, an unspoken boundary that families, like Maya's, often felt pressing against them, invisible yet heavy. Maya had just slipped her earbuds in, humming to her favorite track, when a patrol car slowed to a crawl beside her. The sudden drop in volume as one earbud slid out sent a chill down her spine. A uniformed officer leaned halfway out the window, eyes narrowing, lips twisting into something halfway between a smirk and suspicion. "Hey, what are you doing out here?" His tone wasn't one of concern, but of accusation, the kind that made Maya's throat dry instantly. She adjusted her backpack strap, blinking in confusion. "Just walking home, sir." The officer's laugh was short, sharp, the kind of sound meant to dismiss rather than engage. "Walking home? Where's that supposed to be? Don't see too many kids like you hanging around here." "Kids like you?" Those 3 words sank deep, heavy with the weight of implication. Maya had heard them before, sometimes whispered at school, unspoken in the way neighbors looked at her and her mom. But hearing them now, from someone sworn to protect, stripped away her sense of safety. Her heart thumped, but she steadied her voice. "My house is just down the street. My mom's waiting for me." The officer cocked his head, eyes glinting with disbelief. "Your mom, huh? And what does your mom do?" He asked it like a dare, not a question. Maya hesitated only for a moment. She knew the truth, and she had nothing to hide. "She's a federal judge." That's when it happened. The sound that would sear itself into Maya's memory. The officer threw his head back and laughed. Not just a chuckle, but a full, dismissive laugh that echoed against the quiet houses, cutting her down to size. "A federal judge? Come on, sweetheart. Don't lie to me. People like you don't just have moms who sit in Washington wearing robes. Let's hear a real answer." The sting of those words burned hotter than the afternoon sun. Maya felt her face flush, not from guilt, but from the humiliation of not being believed, of being laughed at for the truth. She wanted to scream, wanted to shout that her mom was exactly who she said she was. But at 13, standing on that street corner with flashing lights bouncing off the patrol car's hood, she felt tiny. "I'm not lying," Maya said softly but firmly. The officer shook his head, still smirking. "We'll see about that." He stepped out of the car now, towering above her, his shadow stretching across the sidewalk. He asked for her ID, though she barely carried anything more than her school library card. He demanded her address, her phone number. Every answer weighed, as though it were evidence in a case he had already decided against her. Inside, Maya felt her chest tighten. Every lesson her mom had drilled into her, stay calm, don't argue, speak clearly, echoed through her mind. This was not the moment to break down, though every fiber of her being wanted to. The minutes crawled. Neighbors peeked from windows. A dog barked somewhere in the distance. The officer leaned on his car, arms crossed, waiting like a judge in his own right. Maya repeated the same words. "My mom's a federal judge. She's coming home soon. You'll see." And then, almost as if fate had been listening, the sound of tires crunching on gravel announced a new arrival. A black sedan, sleek yet modest, rolled to a stop at the end of the street. The officer barely noticed. too absorbed in his disbelief. But Maya knew. She knew that car, with its familiar hum of the engine and the faint glint of the government-issued license plate badge. The door opened, and there she was, Judge Evelyn Thompson, a woman of presence, her stature carrying the weight of years in courtrooms, decisions handed down, and a life spent standing against prejudice cloaked in procedure. Her heels clicked against the pavement as she walked forward, briefcase in hand, eyes already scanning the scene before her with the sharpness of someone who had seen too much of injustice to mistake what this was. "Is there a problem here, officer?" Her voice was calm but edged with authority, the kind that filled a courtroom and silenced even the most defiant defendants. The officer froze, straightening his posture, suddenly caught in a moment that shifted the air entirely. Maya exhaled. For the first time in what felt like forever, her body loosening with relief. But the relief came with something else, too. A swelling pride, a fire ignited by the sight of her mother standing firm. Evelyn's gaze flicked to her daughter, then back to the officer. She didn't need to ask what had happened. She could read it in Maya's trembling hands, in the smirk still fading from the officer's face. "Do you find it humorous?" she asked coolly. "That my daughter told you the truth about me and you chose to laugh instead of listen?" The street was silent now, the air electric, the balance of power shifting with every word. The officer's smirk faltered, replaced by the sudden stiffness of recognition. His eyes darted from Evelyn's face to the badge gleaming discreetly on her briefcase, then back again as though his mind was scrambling to reconcile the girl's words with the reality standing before him. "J. Judge Thompson," he stammered, the name tasting foreign in his mouth. I didn't realize—" "That much is clear," Evelyn cut him off, her voice low but razor-sharp. "What you did realize, officer, is that my daughter is young, she is black, and she was alone, and you chose to treat those truths as suspicion rather than protection." Maya stood silently, her eyes fixed on her mother. Every syllable Evelyn spoke poured dignity back into her chest, washing away the sting of being dismissed, disbelieved, and laughed at. The officer shifted uncomfortably, tugging at the strap of his vest. "I was just following protocol, making sure everything was in order." Evelyn stepped closer, her presence commanding. "Protocol does not include humiliation. Protocol does not include disbelief rooted in prejudice. And protocol certainly does not include mocking a child who spoke the truth." The neighbors who had been watching now lingered in their windows, hushed, riveted. The scene was no longer just about Maya, it was about a community witnessing a moment of reckoning. I should apologize," the officer muttered, though his voice carried the weight of reluctance more than sincerity. "Not to me," Evelyn said firmly. She gestured to Maya. To her, right now. The silence stretched, thick and uncomfortable, before the officer turned stiffly to Maya. "I'm sorry. I shouldn't have laughed." Maya nodded, her voice small but steady. "I know you didn't believe me, but I was telling the truth." Those words, simple yet piercing, cut deeper than any courtroom testimony Evelyn had ever heard. It wasn't just a child defending herself. It was a declaration of identity, of existence, of worth. Evelyn placed a hand on Maya's shoulder, her touch grounding and reassuring. "You see, officer," she said, her eyes narrowing, "what you've done is exactly what erodes trust in the communities you're supposed to serve. My daughter should not have to defend her right to walk home in her neighborhood. She should not have to carry the burden of proof for her very presence." The officer opened his mouth as if to respond, but no words came. He knew there was no defense. Evelyn didn't raise her voice. She didn't need to. The weight of her authority came not only from her position, but from the undeniable truth of her words. "Consider this a lesson, officer," she concluded. The next time you approach a young black child, remember this moment. Remember that your assumptions could crush a spirit, or worse. And remember that justice is not yours to bend with your bias. It is meant to protect everyone, especially the vulnerable. With that, Evelyn turned to Maya, her expression softening. "Come on, sweetheart, let's go home." The officer stood frozen as they walked away. The image of Judge Thompson's calm authority seared into his mind. The flashing lights of his patrol car dimmed into the background as mother and daughter moved forward together, their footsteps carrying not just the weight of the moment, but the quiet resilience of survival. That night, sitting at their kitchen table, Maya stared at her untouched plate of dinner. Her mind replayed the scene over and over, the laughter, the disbelief, the way the officer's eyes had looked at her as if her very presence was a mistake. Evelyn reached across the table, her hand covering Maya's. "Talk to me, baby." Maya's voice cracked when she finally spoke. "Why didn't he believe me, Mom? Why did he laugh like I didn't matter?" Evelyn took a deep breath, choosing her words carefully. Because sometimes people let their prejudice blind them to the truth. They see the color of your skin before they see the person you are. And when you told him who I was, it didn't fit into the box he had built in his mind. So he chose to laugh instead of listen. Tears welled in Maya's eyes. It felt like he was telling me I could never be enough. Evelyn's grip tightened. "Listen to me, Maya. You are more than enough. You are brilliant, you are strong, and you are worthy of every ounce of respect this world can give. Don't let anyone's small mind make you question your greatness." Maya swallowed hard, her chest still heavy. "But what if it happens again? What if people always see me that way?" Evelyn smiled sadly, brushing a tear from her daughter's cheek. "Then you stand tall, just like you did today. You spoke the truth even when it wasn't believed. That takes courage most adults don't have. And one day, Maya, you'll understand that every time you hold on to your dignity, you're shaping the world into something better. For yourself and for those who come after you." The room was quiet again, but this time, it was a quiet filled with resilience rather than shame. Word of the incident spread through the neighborhood in whispers at first, then louder conversations at community meetings. Some neighbors expressed shock while others felt guilt, and still others remained silent. But for Maya, the lesson had been burned into her soul. That dignity is not granted by others. It is claimed fiercely and unapologetically. In the weeks that followed, Evelyn used the incident not as a wound to hide, but as a story to teach. She spoke at schools, at community events, and at bar associations. She told the story of her daughter, of a laugh meant to diminish, but instead exposing a deeper truth about the biases woven into everyday encounters. And Maya, though still young, began to carry herself differently. She walked a little taller, spoke a little clearer, and never hesitated to remind people of who she was, not just the daughter of a judge, but a girl with her fire, her strength, her unshakable worth. Because sometimes the most powerful stories of justice don't happen in courtrooms. They happen on sidewalks, in broad daylight, where dignity is tested and truth refuses to be silenced. And in the end, the officer's laugh became nothing more than a faded echo. What remained instead was the image of a young black girl standing, firm, and a mother who turned prejudice into a moment of undeniable power.